the main challenges with establishing mobile banking? You've got about 100 million cell phone users in Africa in a population of about 800 million people. The market and the opportunities are tremendous.
Yes, and actually today our biggest challenge is handling the growth in South Africa of cell phone banking.
Okay, so how are you going to go about entering these new markets and providing new products? Because we're dealing, as we were talking about earlier, with a society of huge inequalities, where people must gain access to mainstream banking facilities, transport problems, distance issues. This is a solution.
The misconception exists that this hasn't taken off in South Africa yet. Today, between the two banks, between the four banks, we probably have nearly 3 million South Africans who daily bank on their cell phone already.
Okay. Why do you think that misconception exists? You know, I think in East Africa, for instance, we talk about it often on this show because it's something that these are transactions that happen day to day, and the numbers are far in excess of 3 million.
The offerings we've seen in East Africa is mainly built around remittance. In South Africa, we focused on full functional cell phone banking. So today, about 2,000–3,000 more South Africans will take up cell phone banking.
Okay, South Africans are always complaining about transaction costs, bank fees, and there needs to be a model here of costing the service both for the bank, for the mobile operator, for the consumer.
Great bit, and at FNB in South Africa, it's free. So no subscription, no transaction charges.
Okay, how does the arrival of things like CCOM enhance your ability to provide faster and more efficient services and product development as well?
I think CCOM in the future will enhance it. At the moment, we focus on basic technologies. So any phone in South Africa, irrespective of their data capability, can access cell phone banking.
Okay, I think the South African case is a bit peculiar, Lumkile, in the sense that we have the highest rates of urbanization in Africa. So I personally, anecdotally, don't know of a lot of people who utilize cell phone banking unless we're talking about it within the scope of internet banking. But, you know, money transfers via a code on SMS is not something we see quite often, but it's something that's taken root at such a high rate in other African markets where banking infrastructure is very, very poor. How can local banks like this capitalize on this new market, this new potential, especially in the rural-urban divide and in entering the Pan-African market?
I think as Len has said, I think South Africa is much more sophisticated and much more deeper in terms of financial services. And therefore, the uptake and the discussion never take place because it's so private. For me, when I'm doing my banking, it's very, very private. So it's not something that I'll be shouting everywhere. However, when you're using it for remittance, it's a big issue because you need to reach out to some point in rural areas. They needed to buy plants or to buy seeds so that they can start planting. So therefore, in South Africa, it's a really different behavior of how we do business. Particularly given the rollout in terms of the financial service sector of a lot of these small banking services in those areas where before we didn't have reach at all because people didn't see it as efficient and making money for banks.
Let's talk about security issues, Len. Despite attempts to introduce transaction authorization codes, we had the famous case of the Vodacom IT expert who was able to intercept people's accounts, get their details, and then some kind of a scam unfolded. Now, that may be an aberration, but how do we ensure that our transactions are safe in mobile banking?
As a bank, we take security very seriously. So much that on our service, for instance, we give a money-back guarantee. So if you lose your money, we will give it back. The biggest problem we still have today is that people share their PINs. Don't give your PIN even to your family.
Okay, Lumkile, the central bank also has been asked to come into the security element, also by monitoring liquidity ratios and just creating the basic backbone around ensuring that as money flows, it's flowing through the right channels towards the correct intentions. Is it necessary to improve the system? Do we need more central banking regulation?
Very much, Larato. You know, South Africa, we've got high levels of crime, particularly white-collar crime. Therefore, it could be used much more. I mean, Len has got controls probably for money laundering, because we know that the challenge is, particularly, we've got a drug problem in South Africa where we challenged. You may see some of the flows taking place through that system, and therefore, for regulators, it's quite important for them not only to look at compliance, but to look also, are there no thugs that are trying to move money between using cell phone banking from one account to another?